Hi, gang. Today, I'm going to go through the directions and the three different samples that we have for you when we're talking about our latest TDA. So, Mrs. Prue, Mrs. Shepard, Mr. Herman, Mrs. Zadarko, and I have created for you a TDA based off of our learning about Martin Luther and your learning about symbolism. Just so we can go over a couple of things before we start. This is going to be a longer video because I'm going to go through the active reading with everyone. Um, so definitely stick with me till the end. And know that the essay is due on Friday, April 17th. Please submit your essay to your reading teacher, whether Mrs. Prue, Mrs. Shepard, or Mrs. Zadarko, and know that you can turn in your essay in many different ways, including Canvas, Google Docs, email, or on paper. But as you very well know, we of course appreciate Canvas. So let's talk a little bit about what our prompt is for this specific TDA. The prompt says authors often use symbolism to contribute to the story's theme or universal message. Write an essay analyzing how symbolism was used in the following samples to add to the theme of good overcomes evil. Use evidence from all pieces to support your analysis. So we want information from all three pieces that will help us understand what the symbolism is. Mrs. Prue and Mrs. Shepard have defined symbolism as anything that stands for or represents something else. So in these three samples, we're going to be looking for something that stands for or represents something else. And those things are going to contribute to the theme of all three pieces. We're looking for a theme of good overcomes evil. So in this case, you want to be thinking about who is the good and who is the evil. Okay, so if we're looking at three different examples of Luther's work, or information about Martin Luther, we're going to assume in this case that the good is Martin Luther. And we're going to assume that the evil in this case is either maybe the devil or sin, maybe even the Catholic Church. Okay? Could be any number of those things when we're talking about good overcoming evil. Now, I'm not saying that the Catholic Church is evil or that Martin Luther is good, but in this case where that's kind of what we're looking for. We know that Martin Luther took a particular stand on how he thought the Catholic Church of the Renaissance should have been doing their job. And so he, of course, wrote the 95 Thesis to get the church to change. And so he really wants them to be different. So in this case, Martin Luther, is looking at how good can overcome evil. Okay, so our first sample is a narrative. Okay, and it's written down here. See if I can get it all into frame here. Just about. Okay, there we go. Okay, so um we're going to actively read these things together. And so because we're going to actively read, we're going to underline for things that represent the theme. Specifically, these things are going to be symbols. Okay? Symbols of something else. That's what we're looking for when we are actively reading in this case. So, what I want to do is I'm going to read the whole thing through one time, and then we're going to go back and actively read it together. So, it says this: Since his childhood, Luther was pestered by devils, evil spirits, and demons. He reported about such occurrences during his later life as well. These fears of being attacked increased especially during his time of seclusion. Luther blamed his depressions and mood swings on these evil spirits. The constant fear of Satan is normal for the late Middle Ages and rooted in religious upbringing within his home and at school. Luther defended himself against this constant hostility through prayer, happy song, or more rigorously by throwing his inkwell. Luther, awakened by the devil during the night, supposedly courageously defended himself against Satan by throwing an inkwell at him. The ink stain on the wall in Luther's room was still visible during the last century, but can be ruled out as evidence because of reports in which the stain was apparently touched up, newly put up, and re-dyed. Okay, so throwing the inkwell is what we're looking at here. So let's start at the very beginning. Since his childhood, Luther was possessed or pestered by devils, evil spirits, and demons. So we know that he is bothered by these things. Pestered means bothered or annoyed. Okay, so he's going to be pestered by these evil spirits and demons. Now, he reported such occurrences during his later life as well. So he's going to continue from childhood to his later life, but being bothered or annoyed by these demons. These fears of being attacked especially increased during his time of seclusion. Now, seclusion means to be alone. And so he had these ideas mainly when he was by himself. Okay? Maybe we could think about this, we could call this like letting your mind wander. Sometimes when we're by ourselves, we get we get so alone that we let our mind wander into kind of bad places. And Luther blamed his depression and mood swings on these evil spirits. So the evil spirits in this case are going to be the symbol, and it's going to reflect his depression. Okay? The symbol of his depression came out in these evil spirits. So going on, it says, the constant fear of Satan is normal for the late Middle Ages. Now we know this, so I'm going to put a star up here because this is a good connection. Okay? Everyone belonged to the Catholic Church. Okay? We know that. We've talked about that before. That's a good connection. So it says, this constant fear of Satan is normal for the late Middle Ages and rooted in religious upbringing within his home and school. So this is always in his mind. Okay, so then it goes on to say Luther defended himself against this constant hostility. Okay, this is like anger through prayer, which we know. A happy song in this case would probably be like a church hymn, something that you would sing in church, or more rigorously by throwing his inkwell. Now, in this case, throwing the inkwell, this is going to be our symbol again. And the symbol is going to be, okay, how education or learning, okay, how education or learning is going to fight the devil. Okay, we're not specifically talking. I mean, yes, it is an inkwell in this case. By the way, an inkwell is like a container. It looked like this, and it looked like a little container, and you would put your pen, and it would have like a feather. Okay, and you would put your pen in this inkwell, and you would use it to write language. It would be something that you would get ink into your pen. And so when we say that he's throwing the inkwell at the devil, it's yes, he is throwing an actual physical inkwell, a jar of ink. But what is even deeper in the meaning is that this inkwell is a symbol of education and learning. It's like a pen is a symbol of knowledge. We talked about this when we were making our shields for our lockers, when we were talking about the Middle Ages. Okay, I'll put that in here too as a, okay, locker shields. Okay, a pen equaled learning. Okay, and we talked about that. And so he's fighting the devil not with an actual physical inkwell, but he's fighting the devil with education and knowledge and learning. Specifically, not just getting smarter, but by, let me move that up here, reading the Bible. Okay? By having that knowledge in your hand, you are able to fight the devil better than if you were uneducated or didn't have that knowledge. And so, yes, it is an inkwell, but he's really, really referencing the fact that this learning and knowledge is going to help him fight the devil. Okay? That's what you really like. This part right here, important. Okay, you definitely want to make sure that you reference that in your TDA. Okay, so that's the first sample, the first one. Now, going on to our second sample. Okay, our second sample is a little bit different here. The second sample, let's see if we can get it to focus there. There we go. Our second sample is actually a hymn. Okay, or a song sung in church. Okay, this is a hymn that Martin Luther wrote and people still sing today. Okay, and it's called A Mighty Fortress is Our God. Okay, so remember, we're looking for symbolism here. So in this case, the mighty fortress is going to symbolize God. Okay, God is like a big, mighty fortress, a big, mighty castle or palace. So that makes him, what are the things that we know about a fortress? That would be like strong, um, defends you, um, stands tall. Okay, so these are attributes or qualities of a fortress. And then they would be also qualities of God. Okay? So that's what symbolism really is. It's something that's going to represent something else. So Martin Luther wrote this hymn. The actual hymn is several stanzas long. I picked two of the most important, and we'll go from there. So the first one says, "A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Our helper still amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still an ancient foe doth seek to work us woe, a craft and power great of fear and cruel hate. Alone we cannot equal." Okay? So it starts with this: a mighty fortress is our God. So God is the fortress. We've talked about this. He is going to stand tall. Bulwark means a wall that's not going to fail. Our helper still amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. This is still talking about God's qualities. Okay? Now we have a switch. So this is about God. This is about the devil. Okay, we're going to switch in how we're talking about this. For still an ancient foe. This right here, ancient foe, is the devil. He works, doth work, seek foe, doth seek to work us woe. Okay, so this devil is going to try and make us sad. Okay, a craft and power are great, of fear and cruel hate. This refers to the devil is powerful and brings fear. Okay? Alone we cannot equal. This is saying that by ourselves we can't fight the devil. Okay? I need to have other people in order to help me fight against the devil. It can't just be me. So it's a team effort here, okay? So God is the mighty fortress. He is being attacked by the devil, okay? We are trying Okay, so God is the fortress. We need to go inside the fortress and be safe so that we cannot get torn down by the devil, okay? Let's go to the next one. And though this world with evils filled should threaten to undo us. So this is, okay, um, the world is scary. Okay? The world is scary. But now we go into the next one. We will not fear, for love hath willed a truth to triumph through us. This truth to triumph, this is God. Okay? We're not going to fear because we are going to be ruled by love. We're going to go into that fortress of love. Okay? The hour of darkness grim, we tremble not within. So even though it's scary, We are not afraid. Okay? Even though it's scary, we're not afraid. This rage we can endure, for lo, its end is sure. Where is the rage coming from? The rage is coming from the devil. Okay? We can endure. We can get by. We know that we can. One little word brings healing. This little word right here is God. God's word, or the Bible. Okay? So in this case, when we're talking about this particular section, the symbol, okay, I'm going to write important out here, is fortress equals God. Okay? And you know all kinds of things about fortresses. You know all kinds of things about fortresses. That should not be difficult for you. So make sure that you're making a connection between fortress and all of those things that we talked about when we talked about parts of a castle. Okay? All of those things would fit in here. All of those things would fit in here. Okay. So you have sample 1, sample 2, sample 3. Sample 3 is a picture. It is titled Luther on Holy Days. Okay? Luther on Holy Days. So, in this case, Luther on Holy Days, first of all, we know that this is Martin Luther. Okay? And if you look, he seems to be writing something. So we're going to assume that he is writing the translation of the New, oops, I'm sorry, I'm out of frame, Testament, which is the Bible. Okay? So Martin Luther is sitting at this desk. Okay? So here's his desk with writing on it. And we're going to make an assumption that he's actually writing translating the New Testament. If you remember, okay, Luther translated Gospels, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, into German from Latin. Okay? So just to kind of, that's a connection. We know that. Okay. So holy days. Okay, what's a holy day? Well, we know a holy day would be like a Sunday. Okay? Could be a Sunday, could be the Catholic Church. I'm going to write this over here. Holy days. The Catholic Church had many holy days for saints. Okay, the Catholic Church had many holy days for saints. So, when we're talking about these holy days, these would be Catholic Church kind of holidays. Okay, Catholic Church holidays. So, here's Martin Luther. He's sitting here writing the translation of the Bible into German from Latin, something that the Catholic Church did not want him to do. And what's attacking him? What do you notice here? All of these dragons or demons. Okay? So in this case, the symbol are demons or dragons. Okay? And they represent the Catholic Church trying to get Martin Luther away from what he was supposed to be doing. They're trying to distract him from writing the Bible, okay? Distract from writing. Okay? And we've talked about that repeatedly, about the fact that the Catholic Church wanted to make sure that the people did not get the book. They didn't want them to have the Bible because they thought that they would make mistakes in reading it. And so the Catholic Church is trying to distract Luther. They're the symbol here, trying to get him off topic. So we have three different samples, three different things that we kind of went over. And then Mrs. Prue and Mrs. Shepherd created for you, okay, a section here about what you need to be doing in each one of your paragraphs. So the first thing that she wants you to do is identify your thesis statement. And then she has your 5 paragraphs laid out perfectly here. Okay? Introduction, body, conclusion. So in this case, okay, the first one is about Luther and the inkwell. Remember, we're going to talk about good overcomes evil. So what's the symbol here? Okay, so I'm going to write that down. The symbol is the ink, I-N-K, well. Okay? In this case, it is a fortress or a castle. These are your symbols. And in the last one, it's a dragon or demons. Okay? Each one has a separate, different symbol that they're using to help you understand the theme of good overcomes evil. Okay? So I'm gonna make sure that I underline that here. Good overcomes evil. Good overcomes evil. Good overcomes evil in each case. So, how does that happen? You need to use those 3 symbols to make sure that you identify that. Okay? Hope that this helps. Make sure that you, if you have questions, you can ask us. We will be online to help you in the mornings and afternoons to kind of check in with you if you have any questions. But make sure that you definitely go through this and make sure you understand it before you try and write your TDA. I hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon.